Mark Laham, and welcome to Pure Yoga Online. We're about to do an all levels power class. So it's all levels, and that means that just because a level is given doesn't mean you have to take it. You want to challenge yourself, find a new place that you haven't been to before, but still remain focused and calm. So don't worry about how many levels you get through and how you look so much on the outside. Focus more on how it feels inside. And if you have any injuries, just make sure you're not aggravating them at all. That means move as far into range of motion as you can without aggravating anything. And remember, you're at home, so you can leave stuff out. You can take a pause. You can take a break, work with something a little bit more, rewind if you have to. Just have fun with it, and don't take it too seriously. You guys ready? All right, let's do it. So let's come into wide leg child's pose to begin. So knees to the edges of the mat, toes towards each other, and you sit back onto the heels as comfortably as you can without aggravating the ankles or knees. Maybe palms or fists underneath the forehead with the elbows out wide, or maybe forehead to mat. And just allow yourself to relax into the pose. Allow yourself to let go resisting gravity. Let go holding the pose up with effort. And just relax into the stretch. All day our nervous system has to do a lot, even just to maintain posture. So we're giving ourselves a moment to relax completely, focus in with our energy and our attention. So as you relax into the stretch here, focus in on what you're feeling inside the pose rather than what you're thinking about. And take a little scan inside and move your awareness around and just notice what's happening in your inner world today. And as you relax and focus in, start to open up the breath so that it's a little bit deeper than it has been so far today. Nothing aggressive, nothing forced. Just as you inhale, expand and open things up. And as you exhale, just allow yourself to relax and to let go. And whenever you notice that your focus has gone elsewhere, whenever you notice you're distracted with other places, or you're in the thought process of it all, just gently let go of the distractions and bring your focus back into what you're feeling right here, right now. Inhaling, expanding into the belly, the ribs, the back. And exhaling to relax, to let go, to sink down. And we'll just take another maybe 3 to 5 breaths. Just a little bit deeper than all the rest. And allow yourself to let go just a little bit more than before. And remember that yoga is still an introspective practice, not just a workout. It's a tool to help us just kind of develop awareness and be more present. So how far you get into any of these poses, again, does not matter. So when you're ready to come out of the pose, activate the abdominals first, then make your way up into table position. So walk the hands in, come up slowly, and start to move around and wake up the body with your dynamic joint movement. So just start to move all the joints, either starting from the toes Start to wiggle them around, spread them apart, stretch them, and circle the ankles to full range in both directions. And maybe stretch the leg back. So basically, we just want to move and wake up all the joints before we come into our practice today. And it's a good thing to do every morning when you wake up. Just every cat and dog in the world, gets up first thing, and what do? They start to stretch it out. Cat-cow motions back and forth, shoulder shrugs, side to side with the hips, or maybe even to get the hip socket ready, big circles with your thigh bone in both directions, and just paying attention to the joint that you're moving. Just increase some blood flow. Lubricate the joints, get them ready for the practice. And for those of you in the class here today, and for those of you at home, I encourage, as much as you feel comfortable, or as much as you feel comfortable coming out of your comfort zone, to try some of these movements with your eyes closed, or some of these poses, so that you can really focus in more. You get a lot more out of a movement when you do it slower, and with your eyes closed, or your focus really in. And while you're warming up, another 30 seconds, just remember that our foundation does make a big difference. And when we're on our hands, we want to press into the heel of the hand, into the mounds of the fingers and the fingertips. But the center of the palm is making like a little dome shape to support everything. All right, so hands underneath the shoulders, or about maybe a half an inch wider. Spread the fingers out evenly. And instead of middle fingers pointing forward, let's point the index fingers forward. So it's just a slight shift out so that they're parallel to each other on the sides of the mat. And then press into all those padded parts we spoke about. So the heel, the knuckles, the fingertips. And then curl the toes under and lift the knees up just an inch. Just an inch. Abdominals active, making a solid wall, ears in line with the shoulders, so you're looking about a foot in front of you. And the arms are kind of lengthening, like you're pushing the mat away from you a little bit, so that you're not dumping the weight into your wrists. Face soft, jaw relaxed, deep breaths. And then press into the hands, exhale back to down dog with both knees bent, so that we're not making this about the back of the legs, so keep a little softness in the back of the legs. Make this more about decompressing the spine. So shoulders are rolling out a little bit away from the ears. Neck is soft, head is hanging. And as you push the palms forward into the mat, let the hips draw back a little further. Deep breaths. Allow the spine to lengthen. What do you got to do in your own body to create space in the spine? Hips drawing back a little bit more, and then up to 5 times, you're going to go very slowly, inhaling forward to upper push-up position. So very slow, move forward, shoulders above palms, heels above toes, so you may have to step the feet back a little bit. Pause there for a moment. And then exhale very slowly back to down dog. Keep the knuckles grounded. And do that another 4 times if you'd like, or up to 4 times. Watching the foundation as you go back and forth, making sure to keep it grounded. Maybe even doing it with your eyes closed. So I'm a very big fan of moving slowly through movement. I would make your stance out a little bit further. Just a few more rounds if you're up for it. Remember, you can take a break at any point. It's always important to go at your own level and slowly build up how much your body can do instead of trying to do too much too fast. So you build the strength of the joints and how much they can handle. All right, make your way back to down dog. And then walk the hands towards the back of the mat, towards your feet, into ragdoll. So hands walk all the way back, knees bent. Feet about 2 fists apart, roughly. Toes pointing forward instead of out. And with the knees bent, relax the spine, shake the arms out, shake the head out, yes and no a few times. And just relax into the stretch rather than pulling or pushing. And if you're somewhat new to the practice, bring your focus to your feet for a few moments here and lift the toes up for a second, pressing into the mounds of the big toes and baby toes. And so the arch of the foot lifts. And keep the lift in the arch as you release the toes back down. And breathe into the belly and ribs and back on the inhale. And as you exhale, just invite the release to happen. Just feel the spine relaxing. Feel it decompressing and opening up. And if you have no issues with your neck, you can interlace the fingers behind the back of the neck and hug the elbows into the jawline. And just use the weight of the arms instead of the pressure, instead of pulling, just use the weight of the arms. Maybe 3 more breaths in ragdoll. And then release the hands. Sit back into chair pose. Lift the heart up. And maybe arms up alongside the ears if you can. Making sure to see that you can see the edge of your big toes. Add a little arch to the back, just like a small, almost non-existent back bend. And then roll the shoulders out away from the ears so the palms face up. And if you have so-called collapsed arches, a good way to practice sometimes, not always, but sometimes is to lift the toes up and spread them apart and just hold that in some of your standing poses. Let's take, 5 to 20 more breaths. Or at least until we start to feel a burning sensation in our thighs that makes our mind want us to come out. Because I had a really awesome teacher who always used to say that the pose only begins when you want to come out. Because that's when it becomes a mental discipline of staying in anyway and getting past those programs in your body that are saying, oh no, this doesn't feel good. This is not really burning. You realize that. It's just perception. I'm just trying to talk right now to keep you in the pose. All right. Lift back up to standing here. Keep the arms straight up, but roll the shoulders out so that the palms face back behind you. We're just going to keep going past that. Lower ribs in and pubic bone up. So like there's magnets moving in towards each other here. Keep the roll out of the shoulders and lift up off the heels for upside down handstand. Lower ribs in, pubic bone up, heels up as high as they can go. As high as they can go. As long as you can still breathe and maybe keep a smile on your face. And then take the hands forward. If you have any ankle or knee issues, you can bring the heels right back down. Otherwise, keep the heels up as high as you can go as you sink down. And hips don't go any lower than the knees. Heels charge up as high as they can go. And then all the way back up. Keep the lower ribs in as you come up. Palms face back. And then exhale, heels down, bend the waist, bend the knees, fold back into ragdoll. Shake the spine out, shake the upper back out a little bit. And then walk it back slowly into downward facing dog. Spread the fingers, point the index fingers forward again. Roll the shoulders out just like in that upside down handstand. And then inhale the right leg up into the air for 3-legged dog. with the right middle toe pointing straight down to the floor instead of out to the side. So that'll point our right hip down as well. And with the shoulder still rolling out, I'm pushing the front of the mat away from me so that the legs can reach back a little bit further, and maybe toes spread, face soft. Inhale, lift the foot up a little higher. Then very slowly exhale, shoulders above palms, right above palms, right knee into chest for hovering knee to chest pose, or right foot can stay on the floor for a plank if this is not where you want to go yet. But look in front of you a little bit more, press into the palms, lift the knee up a little higher. Then inhale, right leg back, three-legged dog, nice and slow. And let's do it again just because it was so much fun. Exhale, shoulders forward, right knee to chest, toes point back, looking in front of you, shoulders roll out. Inhale, right leg back, big smile. Exhale, right foot between your hands for a lunge. Between your hands, but to the right of the midline so that you're on a train track instead of a tightrope. About hip bone apart. And then scoot your foot forward enough so that the knee is right above the ankle. You want it right above. And then before we come up too high, we're just going to press from the midsection down into both feet and just barely lift off the fingers, making sure the arch of that front foot is active. Now, if it feels stable in the front foot, then you can come up as high as 45 degrees. So you're not in a back bend or a forward fold. Spread fingers, and then maybe even roll the shoulders out, palms face out, and then try and touch the back of the hands behind you so that we're activating rear delts, triceps, upper back. We're still leaning forward at about a 45-degree angle. And just keep pressing into the back heel to counter some of the weight that's going forward. And remember, always have a very serious face when you're doing yoga. It's a very serious practice. No smiling, no laughing. Shouldn't be having a good time. If you look at some of these pictures of the old yogis, it's always a serious face, so we have to be serious. All right, hands to floor. Fold the left side of the mat or put a towel underneath your left knee for dragon pose. Make sure that your back knee is not bothered by this, so if you need to, pat it quite well. And then from here, your hands can stay to floor as the hips sink forward, like as if the right sits bone is trying to sink down and touch the right heel. Option 2 is hands either to blocks or hands to thigh bone, and drawing the pubic bone up a little more, but the hips still sinking forward. And I'm going to give option 3, but those of you at home, again, only take it if you actually are not challenged already here. But the option here is to take that left arm up and start the stretch not from the shoulder up, but from the pubic bone right up into the fingers, and maybe even add a little side fold to the right. So you can have a block underneath that right hand if you'd like. And again, remember, the easiest option was hands to floor. Hips sinking forward. Some of you are holding the weight of your hips up. We want the hips to sink forward. Breathe. Keep the knee pushing a little more to pinky toe instead of big toe. Inhale, back up. Keep the hands to thigh and hip, so the knee stays right above the ankle. So if it's scooted forward, bring it back up. And we're going to come into a twist. So lift the spine up on the inhale, and then twist the navel and heart towards the right side, keeping knee pointing to pinky toe. So you can stay here in the twist, or you can take left elbow across right thigh, palm on palm, get a straight line from one elbow to the other. And again, knee to pinky toe as you start to push elbow against thigh, thigh against elbow to lift the heart up. And then if you want to challenge your base from inner groin, you push back into left heel to challenge the base of the pose. So those are all different levels. You don't have to come into that last option. But every inhale, lengthen the spine a little more. And every exhale, draw the lower abs in as you take the twist a little bit deeper. Slowly lifting the heart up towards the hands. Let's take 2 or 3 more breaths, not forcing the twist, but inviting the twist. You want to be twisting that way? All right, hands slowly to either side of the foot. Curl the back toes and lift the back knee up off the floor, if you haven't already, and then slowly take it back to down dog. And your option right now is to rest in child's pose with the knees a little closer together. Or after 3 breaths in the down dog, and a minimum 3 breaths first, then you can do a lower push-up and back to down dog. We're leaving out the up dog or the back bend for now. So if you want to, you come to lower push-up with the elbows staying above the palms, chest reaching out forward, and you can do it from your knees if you need to, then back to upper push-up, and back to down dog. And you can do that another 2 or 3 times if you'd like with eyes closed. So no up dog just yet. Just do the push-up for now. So I would do it from the knees if you're not comfortable with the push-up until it feels easy for the upper body. Remember, elbows stay above palms, chest reaches out in front. I find a little grunt on the way up sometimes can help too. All right, back to down dog, and we'll get into that other side. Remember, you can always take a longer break if needed. Inhale, left leg up into the air. Left middle toe pointing straight down. You may want to bring your hands up here. Left middle toe pointing straight down. Not big toe, but middle toe. The one that's in the middle. The one that ate roast beef. Roll the shoulders out, press the palms forward, lift the leg up a little higher with a big smile though, and then exhale slowly, shoulders above palms, left knee into chest, toes pointing back, looking in front of you a little bit, and just hovering that knee up as high as it can go with a big smile. And then inhale, left leg back, easier to say than to do, eh? And then once again, exhale, shoulders forward, knee into chest again. And it's always good to compare yourself to others in this pose and make sure you add up. Just kidding. Inhale, left leg back. Exhale, left foot between the hands for a lunge, slowly. Line it up on the train track, not on the tight rope. Keep the knee above the ankle. And again, charge into both feet and only come up to 45 if the foundation feels strong. If not, stay hands to floor for now and get that base, ready. Because if I come up too high and I'm practicing with instability, then my body's going to record instability. So I need to find stability first before I challenge. So again, either back of the hands touching, or if you have the space at home, a good angle to activate is hands out in a T shape and then trying to touch the back of the hands at that angle. So it's a different one than the one we did earlier, and it's a great one to activate. I am very much into strengthening and activating upper back muscles to counter a lot of the forward folding kind of forward-centered lifestyles that we lead. So I believe the yoga practice should counter everyday life a little bit too. Are we feeling that nice burning sensation yet? Are we recognizing that it's not really burning, that it's just my perception, and my perception's coming from my past experiences? So we're not going to let a point of view from our past kind of dictate whether we come in or out of pose, right? You still realizing I'm just talking to keep you in the pose, though? Okay, good. Right knee comes down onto something soft. Hands can stay to floor as the hips sink forward. And I know some of you new people out there are probably coming up to the next option when you need to stay down here. But otherwise, hands to thigh bone, hands to block, or right arm up into the air this time with a little fold to the left. The hips sink forward. Knee draws forward. It's okay if the knee passes the ankle in the lower lunge, just not in the higher lunge when your hips are up higher. breathe. Two more. All right, inhale, back up. Now, knee pushes out to pinky toe, hand to thigh and hip, or right elbow across, palm on palm, or lifting up that back leg if I want to challenge that base. But make this more about this twist. So the inhale lengthens, and the thing about those twists is that you don't want to start it with a rounded in spine. You want to make sure the spine is long before you enter into the twist so that you get the full rotation ability of the spine. Remember, you're inviting the twist, not forcing. If your legs are up, press a little more into the mound of the big toe in front and the inner edge of the heel and back. Hands to floor. Back knee comes up first, and then back to down dog. And again, you can go child's pose right away, or this time for your flow, you can throw your up dog in now that we've opened up the hip flexors. So you can do your push-up if it challenges you a lot, which is what I would recommend. Do the one that challenges you more. So either lower push-up, up dog, down dog, or cobra. And just watch your lower back with the back bend. Or the lower push-up back to down dog, which is one that I like to focus a lot on because the push-up builds a lot of skills that we use in other poses, especially the arm balancing poses. All right, one more flow if you'd like to. Eyes closed, do it slow. We got one more set of lunges. Make your way back to down dog. Inhale, right leg up into the air. Exhale, right foot between the hands for a lunge again. Train track alignment, same one as before. Charge into both legs as you come up, hands to thigh bone or hands to hip bone so that you can square the hips to the front and level them with each other. So if one hip is higher than the other, level them off. Keep the knee above ankle, push back to straighten out that leg. And then take the hands in front like you're holding two trays and open up those thumbs as far back as you can go. Roll the shoulders down the spine and drop the thumbs back. So elbows stay closer to the ribs and thumbs reach as far back as they can go. Open up this way, as far back, yeah. Keep pressing into both feet. Keep the knee in the lunge, arch active, back leg as straight as possible. So push from your inner groin into the back heel. Inhale, lift the chest up. Exhale, hands to floor. Any way you want to get back to down dog, so either straight back to down dog or lower push-up down dog or your up dog flow. Ground those knuckles. We're almost done the warm-up. I just say that to people to freak them out a little bit at that point. Keep the shoulders rolling out. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, left foot between the hands. Train track. Legs charge as you come up, hands to the hips or thigh. Level the hip bones. And then this time, elbows a little higher. Shoulder blades rolling down and into each other, thumbs dropping back. So we did some different activations for our back muscles in all these lunges. I think good for most of us to do, especially if you use a computer or a smartphone these days, which pretty much, if you're not using a computer or a smartphone, I'm like, how did you manage to get away with that? I mean, even my mom's on Facebook now. Press both feet into the mat. Inhale, lift the chest up. I love you, Mom. Hands to floor. Take it back slowly to down dog. Slowly. Any way you'd like. Eyes closed if you feel comfortable. Knuckles grounded. Use the knees if you need to, if that push-up doesn't, feels like it's too much. But you want to practice the stuff that's hard for you regularly. The stuff that's easy you can already do, and it's still benefit to practicing it, but it's the stuff that challenges you, the stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's really going to give you the growth. And come down for a second at this point, shake out the hands, shake out the wrists. We're going to play with a little bit of arm balancing. And the crow is just it's just a little fun thing to play with. How far you get into it today doesn't matter. Your feet don't ever have to come off the floor today. And the idea is if you're new to it today, don't let your feet come off the floor yet. Build how much your arms and joints can handle, especially your wrists, before going full weight onto them. It's like going to the gym and slowly adding weight as you go along. So you'll be in a squatting position with your knees, the inside padded part of your knees, right up to the outside of your armpits. And the hands are making an imaginary line, index fingers forward. And all I want to do is, now all the weight is on this side of that imaginary line. I want to go forward until I get to that middle point, till I'm balanced. So I'm grabbing the floor with my hands and squeezing the knees and elbows in, like I have a big beach ball here, and I want to hold on to that beach ball and kind of draw it into my belly. So I'm squeezing in, and then I'm just drawing weight forward, drawing weight forward, drawing weight forward. Maybe I stay on my toes today. Next level would be to take one toe up at a time for 5 breaths and then the other one. Or I go forward a little more and the legs don't just come up, but squeeze together and up towards the bum. So let's start there, but again, you don't have to go feet off the floor today. So let's come to a little lower squat. Hands about shoulder length apart, index fingers forward. So at least shoulder length. So get your hands at least shoulder length apart. Knees, the inside padded parts of the knees up to the armpits, to the outside of the armpits, or as close to that as you can, and then squeeze on the like a thigh master, right? Remember Suzanne Summers? Squeeze and draw forward. Keep your gaze in front. Keep your gaze in front. Stay focused. Go one leg back and forth. Maybe today both legs just stay on the floor, elbows stay drawn in. And if you're not breathing, we can't call it yoga. And then you can take a break, shake out the hands a little bit, regroup a little, especially if you aren't breathing. And then you can try. Now, those of you at home, if you do get the crow and this feels a little easy, so like you get to the point where you can sit out here and this is comfortable, the next step you could go is just hovering the knee in midair. So you're kind of getting used to, and then eventually you would take the leg back for the one leg option, but even just start by hovering that knee in if you want. So let's just practice one more time. Don't worry about the knee thing if you're not there yet. You have to get the crow first before you come to that one leg option. But just play one more time if you're ready. If you need to take it, leave this out. Just leave it out and rest in child's pose. Knuckles grounded, knees squeezing in. All right, let's come down, rest in child's pose for a few breaths. And if your forehead can make it so knees closer together for this child's pose, about hip bone apart, and either fists or palms underneath the elbows, or if the forehead makes it to the mat, you can bring the hands alongside you. And breathe into lower back and the shoulders. Let's take 3 more breaths. All right, hands underneath shoulders. Roll up slowly to seated. Swing your legs out in front and lie down onto your back. Keep a block in hand's reach. At home, if you don't have a block, you can use like a rolled up towel into like a little cylinder, or even a cushion that you can squeeze on with your thighs. We'll be using that in a little bit. So first off, with lying back, legs on the floor, hug the right knee either into your chest or into your armpit. Chest if you can, armpit if the hip bone kind of blocks you from bringing it in. Hug it in as close as you can and keep it hugged in, and then activate the abdominals and round the shoulder blades off the mat, forehead towards knee, but not necessarily touching knee. And if you're feeling enough here, the abdominals are active, hold it here. If the neck needs support, take left hand behind the head to help support it. If you want to add more, and I say if you can still add more, take the left leg up off the floor about a little higher than the hip bone and push out into the toes like a gymnast, or push into the mound of the big toe and spread the toes apart. Anything to activate the leg. And if you still want to add more, left hand reaches forward or both hands reach forward. Right knee still drawn in, left leg still pushing out, and you can still breathe and keep a soft face, because remember, you should, no, I won't say this on camera, but your face should never look angry. And a little more. And then release, left leg down, right knee into chest. All right, now switch sides. Left knee into chest, right leg down. Hug it in as close as you can. And then activate the abdominals, round the shoulders forward, forehead towards knee. Now maybe right leg up a little higher than the hip bone. Pushing out, activating the entire leg. Maybe right hand reaches out or both hands reach out. Knee in, leg out, round spine, deep breaths. Into the chest more maybe. And then release. Hug the left knee in, left leg, right leg relaxing. All right, right knee in as well now. So both knees in. Now we're going to do kind of the two-leg option of this. So you find your hip bones with your thumbs and make sure the knees are right above the hip bones. And you can either have the knees and toes together, or you can put a block in between your thigh bones rather than your knees, so right in between the thigh bones. Now, in a moment when I say press lower back down and curl tailbone up, instead of drawing the knees in above the belly, we want to keep the knees above the hips. So squeeze the block, press lower back down, knees draw up, toes spread out, and then hands behind the head as you crunch up. Maybe hands reach forward, as long as lower back can stay down. Maybe legs go up, as long as, again, you're still able to breathe. And then keep squeezing the block, and you can start to lower 20 degrees at a time. And if lower back pops up and you can't bring it back down, then come back up. You can come down as low as eye level, and then maybe even take the hands back if you need more, as long as you can still breathe or fake a smile. If you can't fake the smile, then you're in trouble. You need to come back up a little bit. And release. Hug the knees in. What? You want to do it one more time, guys? Okay, we'll do it one more time just because you asked. They didn't ask. All right. Again, you can add the block or leave it out. Legs can go straight or knees bent. Squeeze the block, press the lower back down, curl the tailbone up, and then round the shoulder blades off the mat. Option to keep the hands behind the head or reach the hands forward. Keep squeezing the block. Pretend like it's a game. I'm trying to take it away from you. Maybe legs start to come down. Shoulder blades still rolling off the mat. And release. Hug the knees in, take the block out. Any version of happy baby, either just knees to armpits and you hug them from the shins, or legs point up to the ceiling. Keep the head and shoulders resting on the mat. And then knees together, and with a round back, you either rock front to back with a round spine until you can come up to seated, or roll to one side and come up to seated, and then continue forward onto your belly, facing the front of your mat. And you can start off in Sphinx, so your palm to bicep to measure out the distance, hands then out in front. And the legs are relaxed in Sphinx, and the pubic bone presses into the mat a little bit as you lift the chest forward, looking down the nose, or eyes closed. Breathing into the chest. And if the lower back feels compressed, you can always take the elbows out a little further in front until there's no more compression. Maybe grab opposite forearms. Moving forward for the next 3 to 5 poses, we're doing some back bends. If you have been very tired lately, if you've been running on adrenaline, if you've been a little stressed, or if you haven't been sleeping right, then your body's already kind of under a lot of stress. So coming into very active back bending may, tax it even more. So if you need to take a break here, get the benefit of being in a back bend like Sphinx, which is passive, and breathe into it and relax into it. Otherwise, if you're ready and you have a lot of energy left over, we're going to slowly take the hands just underneath the shoulders, elbows off the mat. And then inhale, legs and chest up without using hands. So the hands are just resting on the floor. With the legs, if you want, as they reach back, you can squeeze the big toes together, but not the heels. So the inner big toe mounds squeeze in, but not the heels rolling in. And if you want to add more, you take your hands up off the mat. Or cactus arms, if you want to add a lot more, for the upper back. Squeeze the glutes, relax the eyebrows, relax the jaw, and look down instead of in front so the back of the neck stays long. Now feel that whole back chain working here as you inhale, lift it up, and then exhale as slowly as you can down, as slowly as you can. And rest one ear to the mat, big toes together, heels apart, hands either alongside your body or underneath your ears. And then breathe into lower back. So feel that lower back move up and down with the breath. All right, hands stay alongside your hips, palms face down, however. Big toes touch if you can without the heels touching. And then lift up everything but the pelvis. So arms up, chest up, legs up. Arms reaching back with the fingers spread, or like we did earlier in the lunge where we're trying to touch the back of the hands if we need to strengthen upper back more. Or the other option is to interlace the fingers behind the lower back and reach the knuckles back, as long as that doesn't strain the front of the shoulders too much. Forehead soft, deep breathing, back line engaged, but not so much that lower back is being pinched. Make sure you can breathe. And release down slowly. Other ear to mat, big toes together, heels apart. We're just going to do one more back bend here, and we're going to hold it a little longer. So hands just behind the shoulders for Cobra, or a little further back if you're a little more flexible. And keep in mind with Cobra that your thighs stay on the floor and your elbows bend. They don't straighten out. They stay bent. And instead of pushing down with the hands, we're pushing back with the hands to create space in the spine. So find the positioning for the hands, engage the legs, grip the floor with the hands a little bit here. As you inhale, push the palms back, draw the chest forward. No matter how high up you come, make sure lower back doesn't feel compressed or pinched. Shoulder blades down the spine, chest open, elbows bent. Deep breaths, lower back safe. 3 more breaths here. And as long as you're not pushing hard in a back bend, you should be able to hold it for a longer time without getting to that straining point. So when we force it too much, that we end up feeling drained after the back bend instead of energized. Inhale, lift the chest, and then very slowly come down. And then right away, lift to table position. Hands at least shoulder length apart still. And passive cow pose. Drop the belly and the chest and let the shoulder blades squeeze in together. So the spine is hanging down like a little bridge. Shoulder blades draw in and you're just breathing into that spot between the shoulder blades, which I find to be a really nice counter pose for back bends, even though it's a back bend itself. All right, back to neutral. Toes together, knees hip bone apart. Sit back onto the heels as far as you can. Again, keep the knees and ankles safe. And then chest forward, either forehead on fists or palms or forehead to mat, hands behind you. And breathe into lower back here to create some space after the back bending. Now we're in our cool down, letting the nervous system calm down, allowing everything to relax. Even the breath is a little more passive. Take 3 more breaths in our ragdoll, or in our child's pose, I should say. And then hands under the shoulders as you roll up slowly to seated. Use your arms instead of your back muscles. Swing your feet out in front. Lie down gently onto your back. We're going to lie down, let the shoulders drop. We're coming into our spinal twist before our final relaxation. So bring the heels in towards your hips. And shift your bum over to the right side of the midline a couple of inches, just your bum. And then bring the knees up above the hip bones. And as you exhale, let the knees fall to the left, either onto the floor or onto a block or a cushion. So wherever you need to be able to relax the legs. Right arm in line with right shoulder-ish, or cactus position for the right arm. And relax the arms and legs. If you have a gap between the knees, you can actually put a block underneath, in between the knees. Or you could also cross the right knee over the left thigh. And just relax completely into the twist. Focus in. And let that breath go all the way down into the lower part of the belly. So as you inhale, both belly and ribs open. And as you exhale, you just allow the relaxation to happen. You allow the shoulders to release a little bit more into the mat. Little bit by bit, maybe left arm resting on the legs to weigh them down. Always coming back in when you realize your attention goes elsewhere. Let's take 3 to 5 more deep breaths into the twist. Just see if you can let go a little bit more than before. Release a little bit more tension. And then very slowly, arms come back in first. Then one leg at a time, bring them back up to center. Bring the hips back to center, keep the head and shoulders resting on the mat, and maybe hug the knees in for a couple of breaths, or just keep the feet flat on the floor between sides. It's always nice to stay neutral before the other side of the twist. And then you take as much time in the middle as you need. Otherwise, when you're ready, you shift the bum to the left side a couple of inches. Then bring the knees back up above the hip bones. And as you exhale, let the knees fall to the right, maybe onto a prop. Left arm in line with the shoulder. Relax. Let go. And focus in on that breath. Let the inhale open and use the exhale to let go. Inhaling, expanding, and on the exhale, see if you can drop that left shoulder just a little bit more. And take 3 more breaths, just a little bit deeper than all the rest. And then very slowly bring the arms back in. Very slowly bring the legs back up. Hug the knees into the chest or armpits one last time, but keep the head and shoulders resting on the mat. And we'll just take about 5 deep breaths before our final relaxation, which is our opportunity to rest everything so that we can give the mind-body a chance to integrate all the benefits of everything we just did. So whenever you're ready, just take the legs down to the floor, separate the feet about hip width or a little more wider. Hands away from the body, palms up. Shoulder blades slide down away from the ears and slightly in towards each other. Making sure to maintain the natural curve in the back of the neck. So if it's feeling stretched, draw the chin up just a little bit. And just allow everything to relax completely into the mat. Letting go all the effort. Soften the spine. And allow the back muscles to relax into the mat. And just feel that relaxation spreading out into the arms and legs. Let go in the abdomen and chest. And relax all the inner organs inside one by one. Soften the facial features. Relax the eyes, the cheeks, the temples. And open up just a little bit of space between your teeth to relax the jaw. And just allow the soft, effortless sound of your breath and the background noises to help take you deeper and deeper and deeper into relaxation. Bring your focus back into the physical body. Before moving anything around just yet, just take a moment and notice how you're feeling inside, now as opposed to when you first started the practice. And take a moment to acknowledge this feeling of relaxation inside. And take your time starting to bring movement back into the breath, feeling the belly and chest move up and down again. Bringing movement back into the fingers and toes. And gently taking the head from side to side. And eventually at your own pace, make your way over onto your right and use your hands to come back up slowly to seated. Feel good? I hope you enjoyed the practice. You guys at home as well. I don't know how to end this. We're just going to say namaste for now. Namaste.